Today we ponder that age-old question. Which is better, old AutoCAD or new AutoCAD? Well, in my mind, there's an easy answer. Well, not really easy. Alright, for today's topic, I'm not going back into the 80s and looking at AutoCAD on DOS with a monochrome 14-inch CRT monitor. I'm going to stick to the 90s when it's at least a little bit modern, but not so primitive that it's hard to even look at on YouTube. Let's start in the 90s. That's when I was mostly productive. I did start on AutoCAD in the 80s. I had answered an ad in the paper for a survey draftsman, and with Leroy experience if possible, and I just happened to know how to use Leroy equipment. My previous job at another company was doing just that, making warning labels for electrical panels. So that's all you needed to get a job back then in the drafting field. Now in this company, there was one computer that had CAD on it, and there was a girl that ran it. She ended up quitting or getting herself fired or a mix of the two kind of thing. And I just said, hey, I'll give that a whirl. You know, when I was like 4, I had an Etch-a-Sketch, and hey, I was pretty good on that. So how hard can it be, this AutoCAD thing? So in the late 80s, you showed a little enthusiasm and you could just get a job on CAD. You didn't have to go to school. You didn't have to have any experience. Just, yeah, I'd like to try that. And you're hired. So some days I worked outside learning the land survey aspect of it. And other days I'd work on the computer learning the AutoCAD part of it. And the best part about this old AutoCAD era, you know, the late 80s and 90s, was it was brand new to everybody. So it was truly the Wild West of computing. It was a great time to get, I mean, everything was so crude. And Autodesk really promoted the ability to customize it to your own purposes, learn how to program in AutoLisp, make your own routines. Sure, take it home, put it on your home computer and play with it there. I thought of the folks at Autodesk in this time period as being kind of like family, you know. I always thought in my head there's like 10 of them maybe, and we're all kind of working on the same page here, trying to make something that's obviously going to take over the entire drafting industry. The whole drafting board thing is going to be history in no time. And we're all fresh and brand new right at the beginning of this whole thing. And it was really neat to be part of a young company. Once Windows came out in the 90s, that's when AutoCAD kind of took off. You could use a mouse. You got rid of your digitizer. Now, the oldest version of AutoCAD I have is AutoCAD 2000. And I'm going to compare it to what I'm calling new, AutoCAD 2013. It's hardly new. It's 11 years old, but I'm going to consider that new because I don't want to have anything to do with the new prescription-based, subscription-based AutoCAD. That's not for me. That's for the next generation of draftsmen. I'm sticking to the whole, I own a CD. This is my AutoCAD. It's right there. Yeah, you're not going to give me any more authorization codes, or I've been told anyways. I just have to hope my two computers hold together for the rest of my career, and I'm good. I could always slide back to the old AutoCAD 2000 if I really need to. All right, let me quick post up a couple of pictures here I found of my first at-home CAD station back in probably 1988, 89. Here I am in my mid-20s, mid to young 20s, sitting in my one-bedroom apartment with my $4,000 Hewitt Rand 80386 computer, 14-inch monitor. I think this was a color monitor. The rest of my stuff is all hand-me-downs from work, like the dot matrix printer and the 4-pen plotter over there. Kept my drafting board, you can see, and look down there on the floor. It's my skateboard. Hey, I still have that. No, really. It's right here. If you never see another video from me, it's because I went out to do a stunt for you and it didn't pan out. Well, I had my little side hustle going back then. I'd be drawing these little real estate pictures. Of course, I wasn't making any real money, so I kept my day job, that's for sure. And moving forward a couple of years, this happened and this happened. So it was time to grow up a little bit and buy my first little house and set up another computer station, of course. Now we're into the Dell era. This is kind of getting late into the 1990s. And the internet was coming along and you could order a Dell computer, probably more into the 2000s now, really. You just go on the Dell website, order a computer, it comes, and you set it up and you're good to go. Now, so here I am in the mid-2000s, but I'm thinking back to the later 90s when I learned that you could write your own programs using a language called AutoLisp inside of AutoCAD. In fact, the manuals that used to come back in the day would provide you a AutoLisp guide. And eventually I got my hands on this. This is my Bible. This is my AutoCAD hero. I'm not sure if it'll focus, but I'll zoom in. So, learning how to write programs in AutoLisp with a book like this, and I've got like every page is all highlighted. I've been through this thing front to back to front, and over again. And I wrote my entire own AutoCAD menu system, all my own commands, tons of custom stuff. And I got super confident, so much so that by 2009, I decided to go out on my own. That's it. I'm going to quit my full-time job. I'm going out. I'm starting my own business. Me and another fella, we're going to go into construction layout. That's it. He's going to go put the points in the ground. I'm going to calculate the points in AutoCAD. That's just what we did for 15 years. It worked out nicely. He did better than I did. He retired, and I'm still working. Now, luckily, during that time, I got in contact with some of the old surveyors I used to work for, and they were more than willing to send me work through email. Attachments were big enough now at 25 meg. You could send drawings back and forth. PDF technology had come along in the 2000s, so you could send check prints and things like that, PDF. And what else was there? There's one other thing. Oh, internet speeds were up. So yeah, you could send drawings in a reasonable amount of time just over the internet. So here I sit today in my latest generation of AutoCAD home office. Been full-time on my own since 2009. Not going back to work in an office now. I got another 5 or 10 years of work, and then probably my little fingers won't be able to do it anymore. This little mouse is wearing out my fingers. So here's a good time to stop with my history with AutoCAD. Let's take a look at some of my old rigs I have set up back here, and then I'll get into the topic of the whole movie here. Which one is better? Old AutoCAD or new AutoCAD? So before I show you my old CAD setups here, let me just peruse over my old drafting equipment, my old drafting board, and some of the manual tools we used to use to do drawings long before there was AutoCAD. This is what we drew with. And of course, I still have all my stuff, just in case this CAD stuff doesn't work out. Here's my first 2 pencils I bought in like 1985 for my first drafting job. There's a drafting machine on an arm. There's your degrees, minutes, and seconds right there. This is one of the drafting boards I actually used for a couple of years at least. One of the surveyors I worked for before they had CAD. And here's an old, from the 60s I believe it is, an old surveying transit. That one's before my time. I was probably 2 when this thing was made. So there's what surveys were created with in the 60s. And into the 70s. Not so much in the 80s. Everything changed in the 80s. There's my old AutoCAD 2000 manual. Look at how thick that is. How'd you like to have to read that real quick before you get a job in AutoCAD? There's the old AutoLisp programmer's reference that I started to understand that there was a language. $1992, hey, how about that? And of course this one I already showed you. And my disk today, my latest AutoCAD version is 2013, and that's just what I'm going to use to the end of my career, which could be in 2 years, could be in 10, I don't know, we'll see. There's the old, there's the new. As far as I'm concerned, that's the new. Alright, so here's a typical CAD setup for the 90s. Not a super duper powerful computer was required. This is a Dell Dimension L700 CXE. Nothing fancy. Made to run on Windows 2000, Windows NT Professional, or Windows 98. Of course, I have it on XP now. And pretty basic, bare bones at the back here. You got your keyboard and mouse. Don't have a mouse in it right now. Only 2 USB ports. The black and blue cable are the monitor, and the white one there is the CURTA digitizer. That's it. There's the CURTA digitizer there, so no mouse. Now you'll see a mouse way over on the left side. I'll talk about that in just a second. I think this keyboard and computer were a set. It's a matching set. The monitor is I'll get to that. But that Logitech 3-button mouse, I'm pretty sure that was the original mouse that came with this computer. And you can see it's on a serial port, but I'm using that port for the digitizer, so not using that. I do have other mice in here, PS2 mice that I could use if I wanted to, but I want to keep this computer as kind of original to the time as possible. That's the way we used them. There was no mouse. This is kind of the DOS era when the digitizer would run on DOS. And the CURTA tablet, of course, there's no laser or anything like that on the mouse. We call it a puck. This one has the original AutoCAD template that came with it. It's not a fold-up one that came in a package with AutoCAD. It actually came with the tablet, full size. Now the sheet on top is one that I made years and years ago for my own menus, my own customization, so it's completely different looking. Ooh. That's how you let the boss know you're working, is you just tap those noisy keys now and then. It sounds like you're super busy. Alright, let's turn this screen on and see what happens. It took that long for the monitor to come on after moving the mouse. I'll call it a mouse just because it's really a puck. Yep, see, I'm working. And I forgot about the frame rate on the camera, so I switched that real quick. In the GoPro, I think I'm at 720p, 60 frames per second, something like that. And it's, at least now it's not flickering. So yeah, you keep the crosshairs off your puck in that little white square in the middle, and that represents your screen size. All the rest of it is menus, commands, because we didn't have commands in the screen yet. I think there were some pull-down menus, but we didn't have those button like bitmap menus. Now, unfortunately, somewhere along the line, I lost my original CURTA tablet, this one. I think I might have tossed it when I realized they weren't ever going to be used again, but luckily I got on Marketplace and found another one just $30 in about half an hour down the road. So I went and got it, had all the cables and everything, and I plugged it in and it worked just fine. I found my old template deep back in my old backup drives. I found that template. I was going to do the setting up of that digitizer on this episode, but it really warrants its own movie, because it gets into some details about how to get it to run on later Windows versions. In this case, XP. You know, they weren't designed for that. So as far as finding the drivers and getting it to work under AutoCAD, it took me like days and days and days to figure it out. I finally did. So I want to go through in detail all the settings I did as far as finding a WinTab driver and stuff like that. So if you have an old CURTA tablet, you will be able to get it to work if you watch my probably next one. I'm going to do a special just on the CURTA tablet. So let's move along onto my next computer here. Now, these HP workstations, we didn't get these very often. This was not an easy machine to just bring home. These were powerful machines at the time, and this one I think is 2001. I believe it's dated. We'll find out. I think there's a date on it somewhere, maybe on the back. And this was like a supercomputer as far as I was concerned. So when the office gave that to me, because they were upgrading their computers, just gave this to me, I was just speechless. This was quite the machine. And eventually I stuck it back in the basement closet because I had other machines that were, you know, into Windows 7 and stuff like that, that were better, more powerful. But hey, look at this. It still works. It still has AutoCAD on it. Everything else is kind of modern on it, you know, and the flat screen monitors. And look, I still play my Trespasser from 1998 on it, though. That's so between AutoCAD 2000 and Trespasser, that's all this computer does now. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, here we go. Looking around. Oh, what? Oh, what's that? Oh, grow up. Grow up! All right, let's get out of this. So there it is. That's a nice little vintage setup, although it doesn't look vintage from here because you don't even see the old computer. You just see all modern stuff. And of course the AutoCAD box became my mouse pad because it just works really good as a mouse pad. So there's my setups. I got the HP workstation and the Dell Dimension, and you got a lot of weight on that desk, so you better have a good drafting board if you're going to pile stuff on a drafting board. And this is a good drafting board, probably made in like the early 1900s. And you'll see it has like a foot brake on it for adjusting. So I can tilt it. You know, if I want to play on that other computer, I got to tilt it a little lower in the front so that I can, you know, the chair is not high enough. And then I'm good. See? And then I got to get it flat again before everything slides off. Well, there you go, and it just locks into place. That's one beast of a drafting board. So one last computer is a duplicate to the workstation I've been using for the past 15 years, HP i7 workstation. They don't look impressive, they're kind of small, but they work really well, and my intent was to put AutoCAD on that, and that would be my second backup copy that I'm allowed to have. But I eventually ended up putting my backup copy on my Z440, an updated version of the workstation. So this computer got left over, and so I decided to put my old racing games on. That's right, it's vintage too. Racing, NASCAR Racing 2003 season, and EA Sports NASCAR Thunder 2004. 2004 is when I joined the league online, and I just raced my little heart out, eventually capturing the championship. I upgraded huge here. Dell XPS 700, the 21-inch CRT. Won the trophy and promptly retired from online gaming forever. Let's see if I can still do it though. Oh yeah. Oh.
All right, there's the checker flag.
Oh. Okay, it's a lot harder than I remembered, so we'll just put that away for now. Alright, so how about a quick look at what my new system is. There's my HP 500 plotter, my Z440 computer that's also my editing computer, obviously. Well, it will be in a minute. There, now it's obvious. And then my old system that's kind of given me some grief, but it served me well for about 15 years so far. So there's the new. Alright, this movie is coming to an end. You've seen enough of my history of AutoCAD, and it's time for me to explain why, and you know it's going to be my opinion. Old AutoCAD is way better than new AutoCAD. This time though, I'm going to define new AutoCAD as subscription only. Any AutoCAD that you could buy, any AutoCAD you have a CD for, that's old AutoCAD to me, and that's way better. You know, this is 2024, and over the last couple of years, we've been hearing a lot about you will own nothing and you will be happy. And maybe you will. I don't know. I can't even imagine. I'm from a time when you owned stuff. You worked hard, you earned money, and you bought things. You took pride in the thing you bought. I bought my AutoCAD outright for $6,000 in 2009. That was a ton of money. And now they won't authorize it anymore. On another machine, a new computer, they won't authorize it. She said, no, we're not doing that anymore. So in my mind, they reneged on a contract. I'm bitter about it, and I would never subscribe to AutoCAD. I'll buy something else. I'll buy Microsurvey or something. It's now subscription, and that's final. So it's just because I'm old, crusty, and bitter that I don't like this whole you'll own nothing and be happy nonsense. But if that's the world you want to live in, then go ahead and prefer new AutoCAD over old. Here's what I wish for all of you, is that sometime you'll go to a garage sale and there's going to be some old crappy computer that you pick up for peanuts, and you're going to find some old version of AutoCAD on it. And you're going to play around with that. You're going to have a good time. You're going to draw your decks for your neighbors, or you're going to rearrange the living room furniture by measuring everything up and moving it around. I hope you do, because that's the best AutoCAD there is. It's just that old cheap AutoCAD that they're not trying to hunt down. Or are they? Are those helicopters I hear? Is that the FBI rolling in? All right. It's obvious. I've proven it. Old AutoCAD is way better than new, but I have to use the kind of new because there's a lot of commands the old doesn't have. I got to admit it. I got to admit the old AutoCAD is missing a lot of functionality. The new AutoCAD has a lot of stuff I use all the time. How would I make volume calculations on the old AutoCAD? How would I make contours? I don't really know. They didn't even have isolate and unisolate layers stage. So now that I think of it, old AutoCAD is crap. All right, just stick to the new stuff. We're out. Cheers.